Hey there, welcome to Supercharge Fridays. It's the 20th of May. I am live in Fontainebleau, France, where I did my MBA back in 2009 from INSEAD, and I'm in the middle of sessions all day. It's a working trip, but I wanted to make the most of it. I didn't want to miss Supercharge Friday. Didn't want to miss hanging out with you if you're watching. Uh, Let me know if everything works, because when I'm traveling, I always want to make sure that I can see everything. If you can put in a comment that you can say that you're watching, because as you can see, I'm on my mobile. I am on mobile data. So, yeah, never 100% sure if things work or not. So, if you could come in and say hi in the comments, that would be wonderful. And I want to talk about a quick session today, but I think it's important. I want to talk about like education and if you think it's worth it. So I would love if you have questions about, if you're thinking of pursuing an MBA or you've already pursued a master's in any other field or any other higher education, is it worth it? I think it's cool to talk about it. So would love to hear from all of you and show you a little bit around campus. I'm a little bit away from the main area because the main area is crowded. It's people having lunch here. It's 2 p.m. and it's noisy. There's loud music on, which sounds amazing, but not if you're live streaming. Not if you're live streaming on LinkedIn with my lovely friends here. So good morning, good afternoon. Hello, lovely. Welcome, guys. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy I'm not alone. Lovely faces, familiar faces here. G, new faces here. How are you people? So cool to see you. Stefano, bonjour. Hey, Siddharth, good to see you back. Call, fantastic. So, how can I help if you're watching and you're thinking about pursuing an MBA? Let me tell you very briefly. When it comes to education, I don't think any knowledge is ever wasted. I don't think so. I don't think any knowledge is wasted, particularly knowledge in a classroom environment. And I think the topic comes up, is it really worth it considering you have such fantastic digital courses? And I think that it's a very valid question. Uh, this was my home. I'm very emotional here coming back because I haven't been back for 13, 14 years. I had, my newborn baby here. He's now 14. He's taller than me. And I remember nooks and crannies. So yesterday was very emotional for me. Anyway, back to the topic. Is it really worth it? Every bit of education is worth it. I completely agree, Siddharth. At the same time, let's say you've got limited means, limited resources, and you're asking yourself if it's worth it. Um, First, I want to talk about um, online versus in person, and I think it's cool to talk about it because there was some research here done during one of the sessions here. There was a lot of online learning that INSEAD did, which they had to do during COVID times, which makes sense, right? And after a lot of it, people said enough. I miss in person. I need to be back on campus. So the value of in person learning, people say it's dead. Be careful who says that. I think it's not dead. I think people are still hungry for it. I learned, we had a business case to do. I loved it. It is so different to webinar. The energy is different. Everybody says that. It really is different. The learning, getting into rooms with people. Yes, of course, COVID. I mean, this is like, I don't really travel because of COVID. So people are keeping a little bit of distance. But at the same time, if you can be careful, it's worth it. Hey, Tegan, I'm dipping my toes in the water with the pre-masters program in Northwestern. Oh my God, the network is fab. I think what people, I think you have to attach value to many things. One is the learning. I think the network part, the ROI is lifelong. I think it's lifelong. And I think it it's what you make of it. So Tegan, I'm so glad you said that. It's what you make of it. Some people will be cynics and some people will say it's not worth it. Well, they're the same people who'll say coaching doesn't work. Whether something works or not, whether an MBA or any master's program is worth it or not, it's what you make of it. It can be a little, fly on the wall. It can be a transformational thing. So it totally depends how open you are, how curious you are, what you make of it. So lovely. I love that, Tegan. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you, and I hope it's going to be fantastic. Hey, Hemant, would it be worth it pursuing an online? That's what I just talked about. That, I mean, I'm biased. Let me know what you think. I think if the learning is very content heavy, I think online can work really well. If it's more about, for example, group work, how are you with other people, um, then I think in person matters. Hemant, think of it this way. When there's an important business meeting and decisions have to be made, let's not kid ourselves. Some of the most important decisions happen in corridors. They happen at the water cooler. They happen at the coffee machine. I think that's the way it is sometimes. I'm not saying classroom is everything. A lot of learning will also happen when you're back home after campus. We take time. We are tube lights when it comes to education. We are tube lights, right? The aha moments may not necessarily happen in classroom. Like with my coaching clients, the aha moments don't happen in sessions. Sometimes they can happen a little bit later. And I think that it's worth it. It's worth it either way, whether you do it online or remote. But I do have a certain preference for um, one or the other. Hey, Risto, is it 100th time for you? Dude, happy what do we call it? Sentinel? You are amazing. You are such a great supporter. I've had you on the show. Oh my gosh, you're such a cool guy. I am so honored that you are in my network. You are amazing. You are amazing. And Siddharth, what you learn from your fellow class, dude, that is exactly my point. That is exactly my point. I learned a lot, for example, when I was learning Spanish and French, when I was in South America and France and Belgium. I found the classroom atmosphere more conducive to learning faster. Uh, some people say hybrid is the model. Like today, like tomorrow, I'm doing a session. I'm going to be conducting a session for the executive MBAs, and there'll be a lot of people in the amphitheater, and there'll be 10 on Zoom. So I think it's not so great. I don't think the experience is that great when it comes to hybrid, whether it's the participants who are online, whether it's the instructor. Because you're like, where do you keep looking? The vibe changes a little bit. You know what I mean? So hybrid I think it matters. So I have a personal thing for it. But anyway, but it comes down to what you want. Like, what does your before and after look like, right? I think that's also what matters. If you're not really quite sure, an MBA or any master's program is not going to solve things for you. Do you know what I mean? But if you're open to it, yeah, but I think it helps to know a little bit what your after is going to look like. So experience plays a big role. Ajmal, that's a really great point. Hey, Fonsec, how do you approach MBA program as traditional courses are obsolete with a lot of solutions? I think you need to do your homework. You need to do your homework, and the MBA you select, you want to make sure that they are not from a dinosaur era. Like they have to be relevant. Do they offer courses that are valid in 2022? Let's not kid ourselves, guys. Money is getting tighter. We're in an inflation like heavy, almost coming close to, God forbid, recession type of market. So you want to ride the storm. It's a great time to ride the storm in an MBA program. But at the same time, if it's a booming market, you miss out. You get a lot of FOMO and you miss out. Why? Because you're in the classroom. So you got to figure that out. You got to do your homework. One of the reasons I chose INSEAD was because of the OB courses, organizational behavior. They're some of the best, if not the best, in the world. So I got my money's worth from it. So you want to have a preference for courses that are, you know, that make a difference, because it's no point just going for the brand name if ultimately you are left stranded and your situation hasn't improved. Because for me, that is the short-term ROI. There is a long-term ROI, and I think Tegan, you nailed it. In network is the huge one there. We also talked about this morning about an MBA 2.0. We're like, let's start talking about it. It was so great to be in the classroom again, solve a business case. The business case was fascinating. It was life on Mars. We had virtual reality headsets. It was the coolest thing ever. And how do you make decisions? But the content in it was classic. It was just, I think, content that's never going to go out of style. Hey, Abhinav. Yeah, it is a gorgeous facility. It is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I am so happy you're here. Hey, Austin. Hey, you must be in Singapore. Fantastic. Hey, Abhishek. If you can physically attend classes, it's great, but sometimes due to family constraints, I think online study definitely helps abs. Sorry, Abhishek. If you are more focused on content specific, but if we can plan our life for a little bit of time, I did. Many people do that. If you can plan it for a little bit of time, like tomorrow I'm going to be doing a class for the executive MBAs. The executive MBAs meet 3 to 4 times a year, and they meet for five days at a time. It's quite disruptive to your life to do that, but you know it's not forever. But you will reap the benefits forever. So I think it comes down to what you want. Nothing in life comes easy. There's huge advantages of online. I've learned some great things online. Um, and I don't think online is going to replace. I think it can add, I think it can complement. I don't think it's going to replace in person learning, at least not according to me. Uh, hey Muthu, what would you like to know? I mean, if you can be more specific with your question. I had a um, hmm, truthful answer. I struggled a little bit academically. It was not something that came naturally to me, particularly some of the courses that were quant focused. At the same time, there were other courses I gravitated more towards. They were more my thing, related to organizational behavior, leadership, etc. So it's a bit like a menu in a restaurant. It's a bit overwhelming. You don't have to eat everything, but there's certain basics you do have. The core courses, then you have the electives. I personally started feeling a bit more involved and a bit more myself when I got into the elective stage. Everyone has a different story, so I'm not saying my experience is the only experience. But it also was very clear to me that I wanted to do an MBA, and I wanted to do it before I reached a certain age. It was just a personal decision. And I definitely milked it. I got my ROI financially within the first 1 year. So my MBA studies were partly classes 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah, part time. Yeah, there's a lot of homework. There's a lot of group work. There's writing essays. What I loved is very true to what you said, Risto, is you would have to do a case, and you would be given a limited amount of time. You were never in a position to say, I know everything. So it's like, okay, how can I make the best decision for the group with limited information? And how can I just stand back a little bit and let others? I think that's very close to reality. So I like that part a lot. When it comes to group work, because you'll always have some dominating, that group work, that I think that's really helpful, particularly for certifications. I think certifications you can do sometimes, FOMSEC. It is independent of getting a very expensive MBA, because certifications you can get from places like General Assembly, and there are a few other places that really specialize in this. And they are also sometimes vocationally driven, so they also guarantee things like jobs and in that particular field, and you actually do really well with that. So personally for me, it depends what you want to study and how broad is the field of study. If you want to do certifications, do you need a full-fledged degree program for it? Not sure. Depends what you want to get out of it, right? So all right, hybrid now, yes. Content online, yes, and some parts, the social part, right? It's exactly like school. Homeschooling, yes, but you'll all, if you have a kid who's homeschooling, but they'll put some kid in some extra, activities outside of school, etc. So you get the best of both. So if it's only focused on content, or it's only focused on the social aspect, I think so you can combine the two. I think online is still not where it can be, right? Online is still a little bit new. Oh, thank you. Hey, Krishna. Some HRs give one sided weightage to branded institutes against hardcore on the job experience. How do you? It's not. It's a good point. So, Brigitte, I'm not sure I have an opinion here, because every profession will have good and bad. There'll be professions in finance. There'll be people in finance. There'll be people in marketing who are very good at what they do. There's people in HR who are good at what they do, and there's others who are completely biased in spite of what they say. um, I think what I've done campus hiring, Subhajit, as an HR person, when I've been on campus, I am more interested, and the companies I've worked in are more interested in the programs that they have done. And the name of the degree, the name of the branded place, sorry, one sec, it's shaking a bit. Yeah. The name of the place, uh, the prestige gets better with time because the program is well known. So the program actually aids the branding. So, for example, if I'm hiring mining engineers, I'm interested in somebody who's done really metallurgy, mining in that area, and in a particular institute. If it's local, it's great. Similarly, if I'm interested in management, yes, I will go for big names. It helps a little bit. It helps, right? It's some sort of a guarantee. Is it a real guarantee in the real world? No, but I'm buying that prestige. That person comes with a stamp of approval. It was a very difficult place to get into. I'm not going to deny it. Some people don't like this, but the truth is, let's be pragmatic here. If there are some names that are very well known, they're very difficult to get in. So the fact that you made it says a little bit about your ability to, you know, survive the odds. Let's put it that way. MBA in Canada, Aditya, I don't have first-hand experience. If you have an MBA where you work hard and the place is well known and it's known to have great companies come on campus, the right companies, not great, the right companies that you're interested in, if they have that, um, it's not a question of easy. It's a question of how much you make it work, because there's only so much the career services people do. They have all these places have great career services departments, and they are supposed to help you out. But even here at INSEAD, I remember in 2008, we were told network, network, network. So some people got jobs because of their private network. I didn't have any network. I had zero network here, right? So if you're in Canada and you have no network of your own, it's a little bit about your outreach, that, you know, people you reach out to, you have a strong resume, you have experience that companies want, you reach out to people. In case you're interested, I have, go to my website, superchargeyourself.com. I have a entire like script which you can tailor to yourself on how to reach companies, how to ask for referrals, all of that stuff. So hopefully that'll help you a lot. All right. Is it worth pursuing a PhD in engineering for an industry career? How can we leverage PhD? That's a great point. My personal thing is there's some industries that do have a demand for PhDs, huge demand for PhDs, pharmaceutical, medical, biomedical. I was talking to someone in Philips yesterday, and he's going to do a PhD. He's an MBA like me. He graduated in the same year, and he's going to do a PhD because he's very interested in a certain subject. And there's going to be patents at the end of it, and the patents are going to go to the company. So getting published, showing your research, I think it is. I think the best of both worlds is when you have that PhD and at the same time, you're also very employable. Do you know what I mean? You want to see, are you interested in academia? Are you interested in industry? If you're interested in industry, you want to show them how employable you are, and that the R&D, so the research and development, you're not just a research person, research chumma, I'm not sure you're a man or a woman. Let's say you're not just a research guy or a gal, but you're also in the development side of things, because companies like that. Companies want maximum bang for their buck. Can you blame them? Can you blame them? If I have a cricket team and I have two choices, a very good bowler and the other one is a very good bowler and a batsman, I want a second one. Yeah, they want to make the most of it. So hopefully that helps you. Hey Elmi, how are you in Indonesia, my friend? It's really good to see you. Human interaction can never be replaced. It is preferred, you know. Offline is fun. Online really makes a lot of sense for certain things, right? I mean, during the pandemic, let's just forget for a second that the pandemic existed. Let's just, even just like something that was content heavy and it was live. Oh, it's going to rain. I was just so happy I didn't have to go to that place, middle of Brussels, find parking, you know, all of that drama. So it does save a lot of time. Let's not kid ourselves. So it depends. Is it short-term focused? Is it long-term? If it's a bit more long-term, staring at a screen for hours on end, for months and months, I don't even think it's healthy. But for something short-term, like which is a focus, and you want to get a quick certification because it helps your employability, it helps your credibility, I think that makes sense for me personally. What ultimately matters is not really so much what I think, is more about what companies think who are interested in hiring someone like you. I think that matters a little bit more. Is MBA in business analytics? Which one is more valued? Aditya, I have no idea. I'll tell you what you do. You're an engineer. Do it backwards. Look at the companies you're interested in and what are they hiring today. That'll give you a very good answer. Is it one or the other? Because I know time is precious and I know resources are precious as well. Doing an MBA was phenomenal value. Got me a break at a company where I'm still at after 20 years. Knowledge boosts your confidence. That's amazing. I don't think you can go wrong. If you're interested in a certain program, knowledge is never wasted. Friendships are lifelong. More than that, Let's say you go there, you don't have a good time. Let's say the coursework is hard. Let's say you struggled socially. Let's say you were an outcast. Even if you do that, the alumni in the country that you are in, they're there. They're there to help you. You'll always have a home. Like you're going through jobs, you're going through a hard time. Oh, my arm is hurting. Oh, my arm. Oy, oy, oy. Um, it's that insurance, particularly against stormy economic climate. For me, it comes down to that. It is a little bit of an insurance. So, yeah, I completely agree. Which type of companies are correct to do not quite sure I understand. If you could follow up, what do you mean by correct? That would help me a little bit. Muthu, what companies are correct to do an MBA? Can anybody just tell me what? I don't have, unfortunately, I'm not wearing a watch. I need to run back to the sessions. Let me see what time it is. Should we? Good question, Muthu. My answer is yes. Yes. I'm not sure if your name is Shobhana or Muthu. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I'm looking at the order in which it's written. I would say yes. In the world we live in today, 2022, I think you get more bang for your buck. In Hindi, we say paisa vasool if you've already worked a little bit and then decide to study because you already have a little bit of an idea on how the real world works. And you have applied some of the learnings already in certain situations. So it's a bit more relatable for you as opposed to learning as a theory and then maybe not you remember it later. I would I would personally look at it that way. That's a preference. I'm growing at a good place in IT and banking, but my concern is that possibly after 3 to 4 years, the fact that I do not have an MBA degree might hit me hard. That's a good question. Neha, Niharika, it's a very personal thing. For me, it was 7 years. And for me, it was that plateau I was reaching after 7 years. And I got a bit itchy. You know yourself if you want to do it or not, and if you want it, was it part of the plan, is it something that came later? I think the reasons you do it matter also. If it's only because of the fact that everyone has an MBA and they seem to be doing well, and if you don't, I want you to look at some of the data. If you can, check out my YouTube channel where I have a video on is an MBA right for you or not. I deep dive into it much more than I will today. I'm live; it's very different, and I've spent lots of time working on that video. So hopefully that will help you. But if you look at some of the research, I think 2/3 of the world's CEOs do not have an MBA degree, and they're doing really well. Or I'll give you a more or they dropped out. So the world we live in, where we can start a business or we can get, a lot of opportunities with the smartphone, I wouldn't say that's the only way to do well. It is one tool. It's not the only tool to get ahead in your career. If you think in IT and banking it'll help, but you've also got to, you got to weigh it with, if you see people who have an MBA already, do you feel like you want to do what they're doing today? Is it inspiring you, or is it more like, oh, I have to do this because they're doing it? Then I'm not sure you're doing it for the right reasons. I think your why matters. So hopefully that helps you. All right, fantastic. So I hope this helps a little bit with uh, whether an MBA is right for you. This is a shorty Supercharged Fridays live coming to you from gorgeous campus in Fontainebleau. Thank goodness the weather is a little better. It was very, very warm yesterday. And join me next week because next week I'll be live with a fantastic person, and his name is Sam Yankovic, and we're going to be talking about change. Big topic. I'll get more into it. Watch this, like, watch this space. Follow hashtag Supercharge Fridays on LinkedIn. And I'll be talking about, I'll get more into it on Thursday. And we're going to talk about change and what are some questions that can help you to manage change. And this is like one of them, right? An MBA program like this is one of them. So with that said, I want to say thank you. Thank you for joining, and I shall see you at the same time next week. Take care. Have a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend. Bye.